All right, it's a little after 1 o'clock, so we are going to get started. Welcome to our webinar learning session, Autonomous Service Journeys using the Track Framework, hosted by Circuitry.ai with a couple of our experts from the industry. My name is Mike Wohlert. I'm the Digital Marketing Manager for Circuitry.ai and the moderator for this webinar. We are recording, so the recordings, presentations, slide content will also be made available to everybody once the webinar is finished. It'll be available on demand, and attendees will be muted during the webinar. Today, again, we'll have our presentation on autonomous service journeys using the Track framework. So our agenda is we'll be going over that framework. We'll also be providing a demo, and we'll also be kind of showcasing an ROI and a plan that you can go through to take back to make your business case. We'll have 10 minutes at the end for audience Q&A after the presentations. And you can also post questions anytime using the Q&A panel or in widget in the Zoom webinar. You can use that Q&A panel. Again, the webinar is hosted by Circuitry.ai. We empower manufacturers to drive exceptional service outcomes and maximize value throughout the service journey with autonomous AI workers that will transform product lifecycle data into accurate and consistent decisions. Now, as far as our speakers, I am excited to introduce Mark Hessinger and Josh Russell. They will be providing their presentations and notes and share their expertise with you guys. So first up will be Josh Russell. He's our VP of products here at Circuitry.ai. He's an expert with over 20 years of experience in knowledge strategy, data and information architecture, search-based applications, and supporting OEMs and manufacturers in the after-sales and service space. So I would like to welcome in Josh. And Josh, go ahead and take it away.
Appreciate that, Mike. Thank you for that introduction. Just a little bit about Circuitry AI. If you're new to our company, we are a decision intelligence platform powered by AI, as Mike had mentioned. And we focus on three different aspects with that. You're going to hear us talk about analysts today. You're going to hear about us talk about advisors and also some agents. Agents is a very commonly used term. Today, we're going to introduce how we're also using AI to develop advisors and some analysts. So as Mike has already covered the agenda, we'll jump right into it. Again, Mark and myself will be going through a few presentations today, and we'll follow up with the Q&A. I'll just say briefly, I've been in the manufacturing and after sales and support space for about 20 years, and the information that I'm bringing today covers that space in some depth. Circuitry AI services discrete manufacturers of complex equipment. This is everything from agricultural products, construction equipment, automotive, consumer durables, anything that falls into this category where the cost of downtime is a point of focus, complex engineering bill of materials, sales bill of materials, where your challenges might be knowledge fragmentation. Very common in this industry. Your service bulletins, your service manuals, your operator guides may be spread across multiple different siloed systems, and also some disconnection from your service orders or your warranty and claim systems. So with this approach to having one decision intelligence framework that bridges those all of those channels, all of those systems and platforms, we're able to surface a lot of intelligence and help you make that better decisions, and to reduce a lot of the challenges that we see in servicing and supporting this type of equipment. We're going to talk specifically about some specific. We're going to look specifically at some service journeys today, and how that impacts your business. We have this concept of a service journey. So if you think about this, the best application of our decision intelligence model typically starts with, understanding what agents and advisors and analysts are already built. The things that we're going to share with you today are readily available. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. But they come together to build this decision intelligence platform. And you can really use these and plug these in at any point in your service life cycle. So if you think about after sales and support as this continuation, anything from that product catalog, product selection. So if we start down at the very bottom and we think about how you're selling and supporting those products, we talk about service knowledge, we talk about parts catalog, fairly large discrepancies between service knowledge and part catalogs, right? One is unstructured data in the way that you write, author, and release service knowledge. Part catalogs are typically coming from your product lifecycle management system. They go through a process where they're converted to a sales BOM or a service BOM. All of those things are ingestible and supported by our decision intelligence platform. Then we get into the install base. If you're selling, serialized products, maybe there's a specific service BOM for each one of those serialized products, whether that's the VIN or the serial number on that product. And then we talk about warranty and contracts, right? So as we go up, you can see we increase complexity, which each tier, but we also increase that value in being able to bring this information together and surface real decision and automations from this. And that goes all the way up to, supplier claims, supplier recovery. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the service AI workers. As I might have mentioned, you hear a lot about agents and agentic workflow. And the way that we have created our service AI workers is we're going to talk a little bit today about a service advisor, a part advisor, maybe a warranty specialist or a repair analyst. The way that we look at your service journey and how we look at this autonomous service journey is where can we apply an AI service worker to supplement or in some places enhance those that information that we're bringing to your service arm, to your support channel, to your warranty adjudicators. And we have different analysts and different advisors that fit in at different spots. So if you think about if you wanted to aggregate all of your service knowledge into a single advisor, and that could blend all of your service information, all of your product information, and all of your part catalog data into one advisor. We can do that by placing a part advisor, service advisor combination on top of all of that information. If one of your largest pain points is warranty adjudication, and you want to reduce the volume, the overhead for your current warranty advisors and specialists in this area, we have an agent for that will bring forth a claim score based on not only historical information, but vehicle history reports, historical claim, work order information, and that's really what that warranty specialist does. We have a repair analyst that can provide some estimates and some suggestions on which parts may be needed for a specific type of a failure, right? Based on the product, based on historical information. So just a few examples of the agents, analysts, and advisors that we have available. And we'll use this as part of our discussion. How this works. We're not a transactional system. We don't have a warranty system. We don't have a CCMS, right? We're not creating content. We're not authoring content. What we're doing is taking that output and interacting with your existing systems. And the whole point of that is to reduce any kind of cost of change, any kind of change management costs. You can continue to use your existing call management system, your warranty management system, and this layer that we provide from circuitry is simply an intelligent layer on top of those. And then a lot of times it's connecting those systems together. And we do that through these agents, advisors, and analysts. And they might supplement. Maybe you have some business rules, say in your warranty system, and you're not confident in those, right? We've had a lot of changes to our warranty policy over time, and the business rules are great, but by incorporating a claim score agent, what we can do is provide better insights and pull in other information from other systems to supplement that claim score and really provide expert guidance to your advisors during that point as to what decision they should make on each one of those claims. Same thing with our part and service advisor, right? Laying that in on top of legacy search systems, which were typically always keyword driven and have lots of steps in setting, faceted search filters in order to get in and dive into the information that you're looking for. Our advisors will composite or compose an answer from multiple locations, again, only trained on information from your systems, but composing that across multiple knowledge silos. And it really is a benefit to the new semantic AI responses that we're providing today. And they also flow together. So if you can think about combining these, and we're going to get into a little exercise that we call track today to show how we bring in multiple advisors and agents and analysts, and they work together to bring value across that after sales and or post sales and after service support. And here's just a small selection of advisors and analysts that we have available today, and agents and advisors here. But you can see how we move from a service advisor, maybe providing um, repair instructions, maintenance instructions, if there's special tools required during that service, what the service schedule or the maintenance schedule should be from the calculator. Typically, those are challenges that are in every manufacturing situation. They have the same challenges with surfacing that information. I usually have to go to multiple documents, and now we can compose that response after one question. So if we look at how to combine these together, let's jump into track real quick. So track is just an acronym, makes it easy to remember. But whenever we engage with new customers, and we have been talking to lots of customers, we've gone to a few shows this year, and one thing that seems to resonate, and I think Mark is going to get into this in more detail in just a moment, but one of the challenges is where to start. All right. Do I need to have my service knowledge? Does it have to be do I have to have all my taxonomy correct? Do I have to have it all in the same format? Does it all have to come from the same system? And what I'm going to tell you today is there's no need to wait to try to perfect that. We're actually using AI to clean up a lot of that metadata, to clean up that taxonomy, if you will. When we load that and ingest that, we actually get a lot of information just by taking that raw content. And that's just one example for service advisor. But in this case, targeting that high value journey. So where is your biggest pain point? So typically when we engage with customers and potential customers, one of the things that we're talking about is, where are you doing the most manual work in your business process today? And that takes me to the R, is let's spend just a few minutes and talk about your processes. So let's review and map your current process. And in doing so, what usually surfaces is, oh, hey, there's this process now where we have 2 or 3 people who know how to extract information from multiple systems, create an Excel sheet, and then do something with it, right? Every business, every customer that I've worked with over the last 20 years, this is always the case, that there's some kind of manual operation that is a great opportunity for us to lay in a decision intelligence platform like Circuitries and make that process better. Once we understand that process, then we move into the A of the track. And that is really assigning a service AI worker to either enhance that process or completely replace it through automation. And I'll give you a few examples of how that works. And then before we set out on configuring, right, this decision intelligence layer, the next step is then to capture what are the things that we want to look for. If we know that there are target KPIs, for instance, with our advisors, what we're always looking at is what is our accuracy. So how often are we answering with the right providing the right answer based on the inquiries that we receive for things like, claim scoring or scoring repair orders or looking at invoices or, helping with the invoicing process. How often are we approaching exactly what a human would do in that position. So there's lots of tools, lots of analysts that we're using to compare what decision was rendered versus what would our decision intelligence model provide. Okay, and that's really that capture up front is let's get to where we agree on what those outcomes should be. And on the Kaizen standpoint, when we look at the Kaizens, and I know Mark might talk more about this in a little bit, but how do we do this in phases? When we talk about deploying a decision intelligence platform, we're not talking about months or years. We're talking about 4 to 6 weeks. So now we're looking at attacking these different high value journeys, and we may plan a different one every 2 months, every 6 weeks. We may be rolling out a different journey through this. And this is just an example. If we look at applying track to a common need, I'm showing 2 or 3 different phases here. But at the very bottom, you can see that for this particular example, our autonomous service journey is to improve call deflection and average handling time of our inbound support cases. And we also want to do some claim automation, right? So if you think about how we flow from a support case to a work order, we want to bring in work orders and maybe automatically submit claims either back to the OEM from the dealership or maybe even in some cases back to the supplier of that part. And then we want to put some metrics around this. We want to productivity improvement of 35%. And if we benchmark the systems today, that's a fairly easy thing to prove after we configure the business intelligence layer or the decision intelligence layer. So when we look at a case study, this is one that we've shared at a few different conferences. But when we started this discussion with Takeuchi, who's a customer of ours, their support journey was to improve call deflection and average handling time by deploying Service Advisor to generate productivity improvements of 35%. So you can see some of the impacts up above. The call deflection was actually improved by 50%. Average handling time went down by 60%. And our responses were 97% accurate. And we'll talk a little bit about how we're measuring accuracy. So one of the things we want to look at, if we look at the far right-hand side, is, let's start by talking about outcomes. This should always be outcome-based, right? Can we first measure and then prove that we have a 10 to 15% increase in product uptime because of the information that we're providing, because of the repair preparation that we're putting into this? What parts should I have on the truck? Can we prevent truck rolls? It's one of the conversations that we had this morning with a company is, hey, we have a lot of truck rolls going out after installation. Why is that? Why do we have so many warranty claims after installation? So this surfaces a lot of those challenges that we're seeing. Improving that first time fix rate. Let's put a metric around it, and we talk about increased customer satisfaction. Those are all measurable and probably being measured by your transactional systems today. Let's fix those, and then as we move forward with track, how do we continue to improve those? So hopefully that makes sense. Just a quick introduction to the track process that we use with all of our customers. With that, I'll turn this over to Drew for a quick demonstration.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Is there anything you want to share? All right, let me share my screen. Fantastic. All right, so when we begin with Service Advisor, that's the demonstration we'll start with. In the service operations, the difference between a smooth day and a costly one often comes down to how fast your teams can find the right answer, whether it's a structured query, like a step-by-step instruction procedure like you're seeing here, or maybe it's from a unstructured conventional question phrased like a field service technicians might be saying it. Our Service Advisor instantly delivers precise, contextual, and relevant answer. So they don't have to dig through PDFs. They don't have to call a senior technician, no writing, no waiting on a hold for escalation. It's like putting your entire service library and your best experts at every single agent's fingertips. And the result is reduced handling times, faster resolution, and less pressure on your tier 2 teams. Now, beyond the manuals and the documentation, a huge portion of that service knowledge is tribal. So it lives in the heads of a few experienced technicians. So when they retire or switch roles, that knowledge walks out the door with them. With our expert answer capability, we can capture all of that, surface that in a tribal knowledge right alongside the formal content. So think about it at institutionalizing your best people's wisdom, ensuring that every new hire can have same access to that. Now, if we switch to parts catalog, that's our parts advisor. Misidentifying, misordering can be one of the most expensive source of delays in service. So technicians may spend valuable time flipping through catalogs, cross-referencing serial numbers, or calling the parts desk, all while the customer is waiting. Here, our parts advisor can instantly identify exact part numbers, make intelligent recommendations, and display interactive schematics. So by clicking on the highlighted parts, they can get more drop down. Technicians can pull up the full bill of materials in seconds. So the impact is really, fewer truck rolls, reduced part returns, and dramatically faster job completion. So you keep your field force moving and your customer get back up and running faster. Service doesn't happen in office. It happens on a rooftop, on the basement, and customer sites. That's why our platform works seamlessly on mobile as well. So technicians can use voice to text, even in multiple different languages. So to query the system hands-free while they can stay focused on their role and job. This is especially powerful because mixed language workforce, you're able to enable them a lot quicker, even if the knowledge might be in English. Your technicians can speak a different language. It can translate that, right, like you're seeing right here. So by bringing our advisors directly to their fingerprint tips, their voice, you can cut down on the time wasted, searching for answers, improving first-time fix rates, and many technicians can become a lot more self-sufficient. As you're seeing here, we support many different languages as well. So if we switch here to how we fit into the broader operations. Here, our PAL extension is embedded directly inside Salesforce. And that could be any system that your team already is using, a CRM, a PLM, a ERP, or dealer portals, right? Imagine having an agent who no longer has to bounce between 5 different tabs just to update a record or find an answer. Our advisors can sit side by side with your existing tools, pulling data in, pushing updates back like you're seeing. This kind of unified workspace means fewer errors, higher productivity, and faster handling times. But more importantly, it creates a simple source of truth. So everyone across your service, parts, and warranty is able to work off of the same data. Now, Josh mentioned this earlier, but up until now, we were looking at how AI can assist your team. But now we can take it a step further and act on your behalf. So through agentic capabilities, our platform automatically is able to automate repetitive, rule-based tasks, support specialized functionalities like warranty claims or dispatch triage, field ticket updates. Think of it as a digital coworker that handles the manual steps so your people can focus on higher value. Here you're seeing a game changer functionality here for warranty organizations called the claim scoring agent. Every claim here is automatically analyzed against your historical history, approvals, denials. The agent generates a score, a summary, a clear view into your complaint cause, correction, repair profile, predictive side, recalls, and even related parts, and compares all that and then generates that score. This means that adjudicators can make data-backed, consistent decisions in a fraction of a time. So instead of combining through paperwork or relying on subjective judgment, they can get an objective AI-driven assessment. And the business impact here is huge because it creates higher accuracy, reduced leakage, faster processing, and improved compliance all the way through and through across, all while scaling your warranty operations without needing a scale of headcount at the same rate. And just like the side-by-side extension that you see, we can embed this in your warranty platform as well. And then finally here, all of this intelligence rolls up into analytics. So from failure trends to emerging issues, you get a real-time pulse on what's happening across your install base. So this means you can identify patterns early, proactively alert your teams, even feedback insights back into your product design, quality processes. You're not just reacting faster, but you're anticipating problems before they escalate, which is where the real operation leverage comes in. So here in a few minutes, we've shown you how circuitry can really enhance every stage of your journey, from knowledge to parts to field to contact center and claims, and the result just being a faster, more connected service throughout your entire process. Thank you. Back to Josh.
Thanks, Dhruv. And yeah, Dhruv, thank you for that demo. And next, I'm going to welcome Mark Hessinger, Global Service Business Advisor. Mark has over 25 years of experience supporting global customers in various industries and has transformed organizations that are focused on customers, employees, process, and technology. And Mark, he will go ahead and go through his presentation and go through some of the ROI capabilities. And Mark, I will send it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Recently, I was at a couple of conferences and meetings, and you hear in presentations, people are talking about this Gartner report that 95% of Gen AI projects fail with no measurable ROI. And there's other things that people are concerned about implementing AI projects. And when I hear that, it really bothers me, because if you use the right technology, use the right process, and set the right goals, you can definitely be successful. So we want to talk about, continuing on in that track process, how to capture, prove the business value, and then iterate to continually improve your business processes. So just a short recap from what Josh mentioned before, Kaizen approach. So don't try to do everything at once. Try to understand your large vision, where you want to go, but then break it down into pieces like Six Sigma people do with Kaizen bursts. And we're going to look at something, we're going to focus, we're going to win, and then we're going to repeat. So there's a process, we're going to iterate with this track methodology. So I had the opportunity to be in session with the circuitry team early in September at the Service Symposium. And there were breakout groups, people from different companies trying this process, the track process. And as was mentioned, first is select that high value journey you want to go on, and then build the pieces of that journey, right? And by helping companies, guiding them through this process, I think increases your ability to move quickly in an agile approach, and to bring value to your customers and your company. I'm going to use some of these examples here where analysts and agents and advisors are placed in an ROI model to show you how that's built. So as you put the project together, I think some of those failures that are mentioned is maybe people didn't really think it through. They just got motivated. We're going to go implement something, and they went off the tracks. So we're going to keep you on the tracks. And it's important in justifying the ROI that things are realistic and that they're measurable. And as we go through this, when I implemented lots of technology over the years, the suppliers of the technology always had these models with things that you couldn't really measure and track. You're going to win more customers. Yes, that'll happen, but how do I measure that from this implementation from something else? So what we want to make sure is that you're putting measures in that we can help you manage and track, so you can justify up front, and at the end you'll be able to say, yep, we achieved our goals. So steps, some of the steps you want to take. One, we'll partner with you to make sure we build that model with you that you feel comfortable with, and you can present internally up to your CFO and say, this is why I feel really good about what we're going to achieve with this technology. Define your assumptions in any model, there's assumptions. But what we're going to do is after we've captured in the ROI calculation the value we expect to get, you'll go through the POV, proof of value process, which is about a 4-week process, and validate some of those assumptions. And some of them will go up, some of them stay the same, some will go down, but it'll help strengthen that model that we put together. Look, in this example, I'll show you some benefit drivers. When we do the full example, we want to make sure we include all the costs. And if your finance partner is working up front with you, great, we'll work with them. Otherwise, we'll have something that you can work with your finance partner and present to them as a really robust model. So where we're going to get improvements, there'll be productivity improvements, improved service outcomes, better operational efficiencies. These metrics are ones that over the past couple of years have been recognized by some of the circuitry.ai customers. Now, I'm going to take you through a little bit of flow of kind of a thought process on how we would put this together. So I'm starting with, you have 500,000 calls a year. Now you may be thinking, I'm much smaller than that. Well, divide by 10, right? Or I'm much bigger than that, multiply by 2. I'm just giving you a reference point. You go off to the one side, we could use an agent to take, provide self-service. Maybe we can take 10% of the calls and offload them off the call center. The ones that we are taking, by enabling the access to information and the right information timely, as Drew showed in the demonstration, we can optimize the work. So we need to say how many minutes of work can we optimize across the remaining calls that are coming in. And then here I'm just assuming 80% of the calls have been routed to the field because we need to dispatch somebody to do something on site. Now, the biggest potential for savings is in your field service because you've got the travel, you've got the parts. Assuming you have a first-time fix metric already, so we will work with you and say how many percent should we be able to increase that. I just took a very conservative, if we can go up 3%, and actually what we're going to do, we're going to eliminate the need for certain work orders and we're going to save time there. And the other work orders that we do, as we went through before, there could be a warranty process. Maybe 10% of them need a vendor warranty claim. So these are the types of things we make sure when we're mapping the processes, as we talked in that review process in the track, we're going to make sure that we then are associating where we're going to get the savings. So here's the benefit drivers of the ROI model. And the self-service, we look at that, and then we say, okay, maybe we don't want to do self-service in phase 1. Maybe we want to get our team up and running first. So we'll move self-service into phase 2, and it'll continue on from there. And then the case optimization for our support team, that's the phase 1. We're really going to put our effort, make sure we get that done before we move on to other things. I said, okay, as we went through it, maybe a good thing to add in phase 2 is that warranty claim automation. And then in phase 3, we're improving the first-time fix rate, getting benefit from not having truck rolls, not sending our engineers out there, not consuming additional parts. There'll be additional phases because there's a lot more opportunity you can gain in your organization. But this is an example, and you can see it's growing quite quickly. I always put in implementation filters because, we never get things done perfectly. It's just the way organizations work and change management. So we put a filter there. The first time I put one of these together with the circuitry technology advantage, I went back and I was like, where'd my math go wrong? What's wrong with my spreadsheet? I couldn't figure it out. As Josh was mentioning, 4 to 6 weeks, it's real. You can achieve ROI payback in 4 to 6 weeks. So the numbers were right. And then even when we go in here in the implementation filter, we say, okay, we're just going to take 50% in phase 1. It still gives you that 6-week ROI. So it's definitely worth taking a look at and implementing this type of technology because it can really transform your operation.
Now, we do have on our website an ROI savings calculator for all of our AI tools. We've got a service advisor, parts advisor, warranty. What that will allow you to do is just enter in general numbers, and it can calculate your potential savings. What's great, it can kind of give you a general idea. And then if you want to see like a custom calculator or a custom setup, we're happy to do that. On our calculator, we do have the option for you to kind of schedule some time with us to go over a custom scenario, ROI scenario where you're actually using your real data. So that is available right now on our website. You can either use the QR code, or if you go to circuitry.ai within our resources, we do have those calculators available to you. So once again, Josh, Mark, and Dhruv, thank you very much for your insights, for the demo, and for your presentation. Right now, we will open up a Q&A. We'll open up questions to you, the audience. You can continue to post questions right now using the Q&A panel on our Zoom, but we do have a few questions right now. So, Josh, real quick, are service AI workers configurable off the shelf, or do they require any type of custom development, custom configuration? What is involved with those service AI workers?
Yeah, great question, Mike. There's no development required. The advisors and the analysts and the and the agents that we've talked about today are available. They're waiting to be deployed. What we do during that 4 to 6 weeks, which is what you might be asking, then why 4 to 6 weeks, is when we go through that track process and we've determined what the KPIs are, then the next step is ingestion and training. And we may take an advisor and do some tuning on the prompts on some of the agentic workflow, depending on what the implementation is. But really, that 4 to 6 weeks is to, if we take something like claim scoring, for instance, and the objective of claim scoring is maybe to build confidence in the claim score, comparing that back, doing some human in the loop audits and determining where we're getting to on those on that claim score. There might be some concrete gates in there where we want to flag a score based on certain criteria, missing VIN maybe on a repair order or something like that. But once we get to that composite score, really in that 4 to 6 weeks, what we're doing is saying, okay, this is the score, and then let's go back in and let's do a comparison. How would we have done if there was a human in the loop? And then the next phase after that, if you think about the Kaizens that Mark was describing, after we get to once we get confidence in that claim score, then the next step is automation, where now we can take 80% of your claims, 90% of your claims, and they will go through that process, and the adjudication can be done in an automated fashion. Well, that takes some time to do, to tune, to test, to validate, to make sure that it's accurate. But we're not developing anything at that point. What we're doing is we're tuning the agentic workflows in the case of some of the warranty work with the advisor. If we think about the advisors for parts and for knowledge, one of the fastest ways to get into production quickly is when we go through that track process. One of the things we're going to ask you for is, do you have SMEs? Do you have team members that are willing to interact with the advisor? Because we spend a lot of time during that 4 to 6 weeks asking questions, qualifying the questions, looking at what those answers were that were returned from our advisor. And then we have an analyst that's focused entirely on that feedback. What kind of questions are being asked? What is the accuracy of those responses? And there might be some tuning. And when we talk about tuning those models, what we're looking for is there could be something in the manufacturer space that's very specific to their line of work. I'm thinking about acronyms, right? What does this acronym mean in your line of business? Because we're building a system for technicians, right? So we have to meet them where they're at. If, for instance, in our written documentation, we call this a specification, but they always talk about it as a setting or a configuration, and that's that's the language that they use day to day. Then what we're doing in that prompt is we're just giving some subtle instructions, all in plain English. There's really no magic here. so that irrespective of how they're asking that question, we can still surface the right answer, right? Also making sure we have the right models loaded. And then there's always this tipping point as we go through that training, how much of their information is required? Can we do it with a single product family? Can we do it with a single category of knowledge? And we found that for a lot of our customers, we can prove accuracy and consistency with just a subset. One thing unique about our approach is we're not training on any information that's not provided from our customer. So it's not uncommon for our advisor to say, if they're asking for information for a model that we haven't ingested, we haven't trained on, we don't know. We don't know the answer because that's better than trying to invent one. So you'll notice with the example that Drew showed, every single answer is rooted and has a reference back to the original source material, right? The main benefit is we are composing an answer across multiple knowledge silos, and we might even pull in some information from a structured part catalog and blend that together with some unstructured knowledge from some service information. That's the power of AI. I mean, just in doing that in a single response, I'm trading a 15-second or a 12-second response to what would have taken me 15 minutes to go into different systems, kind of find the right area of the documentation, put this, I don't know, into some other tool to compose that response. We're bringing that back with one response. So really that's what's required. It's no development, it's no additional effort on our side. A lot of our time spent in that 4 to 6 weeks is really working with our customers to make sure that we understand how that advisor will be used or that agent will be used and any nuances to their business might make sense.
Yep, absolutely. Next question. Actually, we have one that just came up. Do and actually this is a good one. Do we have a reseller program? This, yeah. I don't know if you
It's a
know
great
this
question. Yeah,
offhand.
we don't have one established today, but something, certainly we'd always be willing to discuss, but yeah, we don't have one in place today.
Okay, yeah, and that came from our audience, so we can actually, if you want to reach out, we can try to do something with you there. Next question will be for next question, Mark. What is the most effective way, if there is one? You went through your ROI calculations, but what is the most effective way to calculate ROI based on those service outcomes?
Okay. First, it's defining the benefit drivers that you can measure. So as I was saying, you want to be able to say, here's where I am. Now we made a change. We implemented technology. We changed our processes. Here's where we are now. So we want to use a metric that you have and something that definitely be impacted highly by the implementation of the technology. Then we'll go through the few phases and can go over a period of time, which is important because financial people like to see what's the benefit over time, what's the cash flow over time. All that comes through with the ROI. You'll get the NPV, the ROI, the recovery of the cash flow. So all these elements that will be able to serve the different parties that are looking at it are important to put in there. And then on the cost side, your main cost is the subscription of the technology. But if you're going to bring people in, you can train them remote or bring them in. Let's just make sure we cover all the little nuances. If there's anything IT wants to add, and that'll be in there. You'll still have a great ROI that'll have payback in weeks, not like a ERP system where you're going to have years of implementation and long payback. But this is, you want to have an output that reinforces to the organization what is capable and what you're going to achieve.
Great. And Josh and Mark, you can kind of, I think you can probably both answer to this. Josh, I'll throw it to you first. How can organizations, manufacturers shorten implementation timeframes to drive faster adoption so that they can get that quick time to value of any new of the new AI solutions?
Yeah, great question. And that it really comes down to identifying that high value journey. We've had a lot of customers that upon initial engagement, they might have had 20, 22 use cases and said, hey, we'd like to solve all of these. And our advice is, we can do a few of those in parallel, but let's really focus on where we should be engaged, where we should start, and break that up into those phases, because the phases go by pretty quickly, right? 4 to 6 weeks. And let's get those tuned first, and then we move on to the next one. And then what we found with a lot of customers is those use case priorities may change. We had one customer that we started with claim scoring, with the idea that claim adjudication, because of volumes and the growth of the business, that was the most important thing. And halfway through that, it became, hey, you know what? Let's get this invoice agent to where we can start automating some payment automation. And that became the highest priority item. So really, being flexible with where your high value journey takes you, and really being focused on which KPIs that we want to capture, and then having the stakeholders identified internally. If we compare, some of our customers that have gone through that in that 4 to 6 weeks, it's really those customers that have identified the right internal stakeholders that can say, okay, we have the confidence. We've either asked enough test and sample questions to the advisor that we have confidence in the accuracy, or we've run enough, claims and repair orders and invoices through one of our other various agents that we have confidence in the score. But it's really about using it, right? I mean, if you're in business today and you don't have ChatGPT open on the right, let me give you just a tidbit to take home with you. Use it. Use it, because everyone else is using it, and it will instantly improve your life. And so what I'm saying is, if we can get customers to use it and get that initial set of test questions, it provides a better configuration, a better tune of the ingested knowledge. And it really comes down to getting the right stakeholders engaged early. That'll shorten that you'll be on the four-week side and not the 6-week side of kind of the rollout, if that makes sense. I don't know, Mark, anything else there?
Yeah, a couple thoughts. Based on experience, I implemented AI for tech support like 7.5 years ago. That was before agentic, before generative. And learnings from that, I think when you implement AI, it's important to really have clear expectations to communicate that. Because what happens today is everybody's heard about AI. They've used different pieces of AI in their private life or potentially at work and doing something else. So everybody has their own expectations. So you want to get people together on the same, this is what we're going to achieve.
Mhm.
The change management, like any implementation, is critical. And then a lot of people get nervous. They say, I don't have good data. Well, I have never met a company that says they have perfect data, right? So it's also important, when we did it the first time, we just threw everything in. But it's better to classify your data, right? Your manuals, anything coming from engineering, right? There's different things that are really good quality, and then there are other things that are questionable quality. So start with things that are really good quality, because that will show the organization, yes, it's bringing the right information. And as the organization learns and your work orders get better, then you can start feeding in more information.
Yep.
Follow a process like the track process. It'll help keep you on the path to success.
Yeah. That's a really good point. We talked about all those inputs, when we were going through the track system. Well, one of the important places to start when we understand their process is, what systems do we need to interface with, right? There's lots of connectors that we have available to us, SAP, Salesforce, lots of different opportunities to connect to different transactional systems, and even some PLMs out there. And the idea is that as we bring in those connectors, we can either bring it in and train on it, or maybe just bring it in on demand. If you talk about things like vehicle history reports or things like that, that we want to load, we want to use that in our calculation, and then we don't necessarily need to train or store it, but really identifying what your inputs are first. And then probably the second most important thing is, which channels or which groups of users are we going to service? Who benefits from this system? So if you think about customers, if you think about consumers, if you think about technicians versus your support teams, by doing something like Service Advisor or Part Advisor, you're not only improving their situation with allowing them to get to service information and product information, if maybe this is a product comparison use case that we're building. It's not only them who benefit or they who benefit. It's also engineering, product management. It's also your technical publications team, because you can take something like our conversation analyst and say, okay, it's being used. We're asking tens of thousands, 100,000 questions a year. What questions are not being answered, right? Where are we not getting that satisfactory response from the consumer or the technician? And that's where we can focus, our technical publication teams. It surfaces gaps in service knowledge. So I think there's a lot of opportunities there to really look at driving a faster return. Is how do we use all these tools together to improve the content, improve the models, and to get this out the door and to get to that ROI. That's always the driver, is how quickly can we get to that ROI.
Great. Thanks, Josh. I'm going to combine these next two. I think they're kind of related, but one, I know everybody's probably wants to know pricing. So how are the service AI workers priced? Is it a different model from traditional SaaS pricing? And then I'll just kind of dovetail into this with everybody also talking about AI these days. What makes circuitry.ai different?
Yeah, maybe I can take that one, Mark. But I had an opportunity to sit with Mark at a conference a few months ago, and it was interesting because we went through like a white paper, and it was pretty obvious why, for this particular company who had started their journey in AI. Again, this was a few years ago, and if you've studied and followed AI, you know how quickly this area is evolving and improving. But I think the study was from maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But they started their journey by, hey, let's onboard some people who specialize in this, some data science team. Let's start with standing up a model. Let's start by creating an agent. And there was all this infrastructure cost that came with that. And what's really unique about how circuitry approaches this is the infrastructure's built, the agents are built, the models are waiting to be trained on ingested content from customers. So it gives us the opportunity to price our system based on the decision. So a decision could be knowledge retrieval, right? That's one decision. Or it's adjudicating a single claim, right? So that claim score, that claim adjudication automation would be a decision that the model is returning. And we find that this works really well when talking to customers, because if you get into the details of how AI works, right? It's tokens, it's 20, 30 layers of technology and all these infrastructure costs. And that becomes very hard to put into a business model, right? If you wanted to put that into the terms of, pitching that, when you talk about where the cost or expense is, how we approach it differently is it's really by that decision. So if you have 200,000 claims that you're processing this year, right? By adding a claim score to it, right? That is metered against how many claims are being processed. Same thing with a call center. If you're taking 500,000 calls this year and you would like to deflect those inbound telephone calls with a voice agent that is sitting on top of our service advisor or part advisor, that voice agent can deflect those calls. And instead of a human being answering those calls, it can be our service advisor, part advisor. Same thing with emails, right? We have a lot of customers who take the majority of their support tickets by inbound email. Why do the first round of support with a human being when we have all the power of the service advisor or the part advisor there? So the idea is that it's all by the decision, so that it's very easy to go into one of our ROI calculators and say, well, how many transactions are you taking? How many of those would you like to feed to an advisor or an agent or an analyst? And you key that in, and it's pretty simple to get to that ROI. Sorry, Mark, go ahead.
No.
Okay.
I agree. No, good points.
Yeah, and I think the second part of your question is, what's different? I mean, I think that's the large part is, how we went to market at this concept of metering that on the decisions, because that maps very well to transactional systems. And the other way that we're different is that we were purpose built for this space. We didn't start as a as a transactional team, building a transactional system that's also trying to do AI. We didn't start as a big data analysis team that said, hey, we also have to get on this AI solution. I mean, we were a team that came together who have, I don't know what it is combined, 70, 80, 90 years of domain experience. This is all we've ever done. And said, hey, you know what? We spent several years trying to get legacy or keyword-based search systems to go as far as they can go. And this was a huge opportunity for us to say, what's the next thing? And the next thing is, I want to use semantic-based Gen AI to provide better searches or better results instead of just doing text-based search. So that's what we're passionate about is, how can we solve those challenges that we've been working against or working with for the last 20 years? And this gives us an opportunity to really do something and innovate in this space by building these agents, advisors, and analysts that really solve problems for our customers.
Yeah, Josh, I'll just add to that. I mean, I think it's very important that purpose built. I've talked to many companies and they say, oh, our CIO wants us to try Copilot first. You'll only get so far with something that's generic.
Yeah.
Right? The way this is built, it knows about a service business. It's designed to work in the service flows. So you will save a lot of time and you'll get a lot more value by having something that's purpose built.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I think that's all the questions that we have. Thanks. Thanks for participating. Thank you very much. We've got a few events that are coming up. We're proud sponsors of the Map Connected Service and Lifecycle Warranty Summit in Detroit from October 20th to the 22nd, and the annual Extended Warranty and Service Contract Innovation event in Chicago from the 27th to the 29th. And then we're also sponsors of the Field Service Connect that is November 17th through 19th in Austin, Texas. So hopefully, do some research on those events. We hope you can join us. And then also contact us at any time to schedule a personalized demo, or you can also get a personal walkthrough of your autonomous service journey. We can also go through a track session for you as well. So, thanks, Josh. Contact us either through that QR code, and then also, like I said, we're sending out this presentation, the slides, so you'll also have access to this. But yes, you can certainly contact us for a custom demo or a personalized track session, where again we will work with you one-on-one and get you set up so you can actually walk away with something tangible. But again, thank you everybody for your time today. Thank you, Josh, Drew, and Mark, for your time as well to walk through your parts of the presentation and this session. Thank you for your insights, your knowledge. Again, thank you for everybody's time, and thank you all for attending the webinar. Please look out within the next day. Please look out. We'll be sending a on-demand recording and the presentation. So again, thank you, and we'll see you the next time.